Good evening and welcome to the South Texas International Film Festival. I'm Susan Smith, and tonight we have a Q&A with the cast and director, well, not all the cast, but several cast members and the director of Fist of Justice. Fist of Justice is one of our Texas feature films, and it just finished screening, and I hope you all enjoyed it and were able to and are here and able to participate in our Q&A. So first, Max, let me have you introduce the other people who are on the screen.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you. I'm Max Rojas, writer and director of the film. With us we have Magali De Rosa, who is a fantastic Tejano artist and a wonderful actress. We have Ruben here with a Ruben Revolver, our brother. He plays Mauricio. In the film, we also are joined by Emma Perez Trevino, who is known as Mama Emma on our side. And our wonderful Jason Gugian, who is known as Mephisto in our film, who is nothing like his counterpart except charming.
Well, thank you. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. I watched the films more than once and I enjoyed it. And let's go ahead and start with some questions. If those of you who are online on the chat have questions, you can type them into the chat box and I'm hoping I'll be able to see them. But go ahead and type them in there. So first off, Max, why don't you tell me why did you decide to make this film?
I mean, down here in the Rio Grande Valley, one thing that I have learned and grown to appreciate so much is we have such a different culture, in a sense, different things happen here. We're very unique in the events and circumstances that we face and the individuals that it creates. And I wanted to try to encompass as much of that as possible. You know, there used to be a time when the young man would make a mistake when he's younger, and instead of going to jail or serving any kind of criminal time, he'd go into the military and try to, you know, change his perspective and teach him some skills and try to find where that anger comes, displacement issues. We have a single mom who is not angry at life, is not blaming anybody for what's happening. It's just kind of going through, raising the kid, being strong. And that's what we try to show with every character has their own nuanced form and of strength and displaying it, from Mauricio being the comic relief and still not answering when he's being threatened, not speaking, and things of that nature, to Mama Lerma, who's trying to impose wisdom to their family as to how the area can be and doing her best as a parent, to, you know, Magali, who's coming out, who's, you know, just saying, hey, I need to tell you something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I never get to see her for so long. You got to know this, but she's not trying to manipulate any which way, to even Mephisto character Jason, who comes out expressing where his drive came from, you know, and the strength and the vigilance he had to face to get to the end. So that's what we're trying to encompass in it, and tell a story that pays as much homage to the old luchador films that I grew up watching, you know, even back the late 80s and 90s action films, where, you know, he says, I'm gonna take my right foot and put it right across your face. And, you know, those are great films back then. And we have so many stories that are often told that just exemplify some of the negative aspects of the region we're from. And, you know, like I said, I grew up with Charles Bronson films, you know, we have all these heroes that step up, but we haven't had much Mexican heroes, you know, from the Frontera where we come from. And it's one of those fantasies that we wish that there could be a guy that can come in and, you know, just beat up everybody and not necessarily have to kill and murder people. It's just clean up the street in that way. It's an interesting story that I wanted to try to tell. And honestly, its enjoyment is mostly because of the actors that came on board. I mean, it's one thing to write something that you're hoping sounds okay, and then these actors come in, they own the words and the dialogue. They come and say, hey, is it okay if I say this other way? And with me, it's always been what you feel once you create and you become. Like, I prefer that over anything that is specifically written, unless it's supposed to reference something later on. You know, it was always wonderful finding that kind of organic relationship that's formed with all these guys that are here. I mean, they owned they took those words and changed them, owned them, and became better than I expected them to be. That was what's wonderful about making this film, to be honest. Letting other people see that.
Well, that's nice. You just answered my second question, which was, that's okay. Now we'll dump it on your actors. My question was, could you talk about the actors in the film and how you developed them? But instead, now I'll talk to your cast member and ask them, and I'll start with Magali, because she's on the top on my screen. Okay. And so with what he gave you as a character, how did you use that and develop it?
Well, to me, it was just such a great part. I had done a few other readings for some other films that I really didn't like the part. You know, for the first time, I had gotten a script where I felt the character was wholesome. She was a mother. She was at that time a single mother. I can identify with that. It kind of aligned closely to my personal life. So it was great. And, you know, Max was wonderful. This was my very first feature film, and he was just great at developing me while we were there on the set, guiding me here and there, but not telling me exactly what to do. He kind of just let everybody just kind of blossom in their own way.
Well, you did a wonderful job. No one would know.
Thank you.
No one would know. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. And Rue, what about you? Because you definitely had an interesting character.
Hi.
I guess you. Yeah.
What was the question?
You should tell people who you played, but that's okay. You look the same.
Yeah, I played Mauricio. I don't think I did much research. I was just myself, you know, just a different version of it. And yeah, right on. I'm just here so I don't get fined. I don't know what that thing is. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, Jason, we hope you don't have the same answer that Rue just had, that you just played a version of yourself. So why don't you talk to us about your character? You need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I didn't know how to do that.
Okay.
No, it was interesting how I ended up getting involved in the film in the first place. But it was awesome because I typically get typecasted in these, you know, in being a bad guy, right? But I never, in all the films that I've done, I've never really had the opportunity to have as much fun, you know, with a bad guy before. And so when I approached this character, I played him very similar to a, you know, like a combination of what, you know, kind of like the Joker is how I looked at it. Like a big buff Joker that that just, you know, wanted to have a good time. And that's all he really cared about was having a good time and winning. You know, and to be able, you know, Max gave me the opportunity to be able to do a bunch of stuff. And I did the fight choreography for the movie as well. And it was awesome to be in a lot of films. You're not always given as much creativity. And with Max and I was, and I really enjoyed it and had a blast doing the film. It was awesome.
And Emma? Yeah. So tell us about your character and how you developed that.
Well, Mama Lerma, an older woman. so if I really picked the part, I guess you would say, and I'm also a mother, and always have been very much concerned and very aware of where my child was and what she was doing, and it was just such an honor for Director Rojas to have faith that I could bring his vision to life, you know, and I'm just so honored to have been part of his project.
Okay, Max is stirring up in case you don't have him on the large.
She does that to me all the time.
He does that to you.
She does that to me all the time.
it's that beautiful, warm, calming voice she has. It just envelops you. Okay, so Max, let's talk about locations. So where did you shoot this?
Oh, I mean, it's spread between Brownsville to Upper Valley, La Feria, San Benito, Harlingen. I mean, we pretty much were up and down the Rio Grande Valley filming this, getting support and stuff from anybody we can find. My cousin's the owner of the bar we filmed in, Hop Shop in Harlingen, for example. The warehouse is Julian Valdez, who does a show aquí entre nosotros on the weekends here. He's a fantastic producer developing his own TV show here. But he's the owner of the warehouse we filmed at. He's also plays Magali's friend at the club when he gets beat up. So it's a lot of great community and friends that we got together to make something like this possible. I mean, what can I say? When I sat there and I said, hey, you know, it's a great idea. Let's do a film with choreography where the guy fights, you know, 7 guys. That should be great. And, you know, and we talked to Jason. Jason's like, this is going to be difficult, guys. You know, we had a couple of videos where we're doing rehearsals and practicing. And I mean, the fact that Jason's able to come and as I talked to him, I remember having this conversation with him. Now we're going to different things. Okay, locations.
That's okay.
Right. No, yeah, no, it's pretty much stretch across the Rio Grande Valley. People that we've worked with. I worked a lot, predominantly in the Spanish language films. That's what I did a lot. This is the first English language film I wanted to do. It's, you know, it's got Raul Gonzalez, a very good friend who speaks Spanish in it, and he knows friends as well, helps with the locations. And it was just pretty much a communal thing. I mean, even Roy and Michael were able to help us out to find. The good thing is we didn't need too many locations for this project. You know, Julian helped us find the abandoned house. David, who it was our camera operator, that's where we filmed, which was Mama Lerma's house. Pretty much just in that nature, you know, using what we can.
Okay. And you mentioned a friend of yours whose name I suddenly forgot. Is that the person who played Robbie?
Yes, Julian Valdez. He does Aquí Entre Nosotros is the show. Magali's been on there a few times. He does a lot of artists and Tejano artists. It's a wonderful show. It's, interviewing artists and having them play music and discussing their art with them. It's pretty fun.
And I thought it was interesting that he always spoke in Spanish, and everyone spoke to him in English. No one spoke to him in Spanish. So why did you make that decision, that call?
Well, yeah, Raul Gonzalez is Ravi, and Julian Gonzalez is the guy that gets beat up, right? In the club. But yeah, because that happens in the Rio Grande Valley. That's one of the things I really wanted to show here. I mean, I remember you'd be at a ranch and you'd hear a guy, hey, you know, Don Pedro, can you move the horses out to the other side? Sí, ahorita lo muevo, los quieres ahorita o rato. And he was like, I'll do it later. And it was just English and Spanish, but there was no need to translate. It's just, they never felt the need to speak the natural or native tongue of the person to be understood. And that was, I didn't realize how unique that was until I was in the valley, I should say. So I wanted to, that's what I mean. I wanted to incorporate that in the film where, I mean, no one tried to think or understand what Robbie was saying. Everybody knew. And no one felt the need to speak to him in English because he understood it. He refused to speak it.
He just prefers to, he prefers to speak Spanish. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I like
that's, well, I would say that's the other thing I try to incorporate with Detective, with Marcia Vargas, with her characters. It was true, you could tell she was a natural Spanish speaker, but because of her rigid personality, she refuses to speak Spanish and English because she's where, you know, it was trying to, and that's why their scene together is supposed to kind of unravel that inner, and she finally speaks a little bit of Spanish in there.
Okay.
It was trying to play on those things.
Okay, yeah, my Spanish is not that great, so, but I thought he had some of the more. I really liked a lot of his lines. So I actually read his part several times and wrote some of them down because he was so, I thought it was interesting that he was kind of the insightful one. Well, several of you all were, but especially, I guess being the older gentleman and things along that. But I enjoyed his character and just thought it was ironic that, okay, this is the one I get to read. But,
older Latinos love speaking in riddles. That's just something they want you to figure it out. I don't want to tell you plainly.
Okay. And I noticed that the problem solution was running throughout. I mean, it's one of, like Jason's favorite lines, but it was a lot more than that. It seemed like it was really kind of one of the themes of the film. Can you talk about that? Or
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much hitting the nail on the head. I mean, that's kind of the things that was the irony of Jason's character saying it. The point
Yes.
of it is because for all this wisdom that he's finding around, it is one of the most profound statements that either you're going to, be a part of the problem or part of the solution.
Mhm.
And it's kind of what he builds his reputation on, that he doesn't feel any sense of ethical or moral dilemmas for how he responds to how he's received in that, whereas everyone else still has that same sentiment, except they're taking the moral and ethical approach to it. But yeah, that between everybody, even with Magali, when she confronts her husband, she's like, it's been 13 years, man. Like, I'm trying to be cool here. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And at the same time, she's telling him, are you going to be part of the problem or part of the solution? Like, it's try to carry on. Thank you for catching that. But yeah, let's have Magali, Ruben, everybody. You guys talk.
Yeah, I like that, how it carried through all the different scenarios that were running in the film. It's subtle, subtly, not so subtly, along with that.
I mean, I'm really happy that Jason brought up the Joker thing, because I think we had discussed it, where I really wanted Samson and Mephisto's relationship to be very similar to, Batman and the Joker. Like Jason said, he's never going to try to kill Samson. He's like, I'll burn the whole world around you. I want you and me together, and that's kind of the twist that happened with him. The insightful one.
And let me see what else. Oh, so let me go back to your cast members, and whoever wants can answer this one first. I won't put you on the spot. But what did you learn from making this movie? But not Max, he can't answer.
I learned a lot from this movie. Like I mentioned before, it was my first experience acting, and especially acting in a feature film. For the audience that doesn't know who I am, I mainly do music. That is my background. I'm a Tejano singer. So when we do things in music videos, it's so different. I was joking with Max earlier about that. It's just kind of like a one-shot thing, take a few shots here and throw it together, and there you have it. But this was a lot of work. We had to get together. We had to not on set, but offset, get together and kind of rehearse and kind of practice, getting to know everybody. Then finally getting on the set, you have to shoot from this angle, this angle, this angle. I was like, this is incredible, but they were very, very long hours. So it was a great experience for me. I loved all the actors. I felt like I was new. I know a lot of the people on here and in the movie have done other things before, but to me it was just, I don't know, I was like a kid at Disneyland, like just taking it all in, so.
Okay, someone else? Everyone gets to answer. Okay, Rue, you're next, because you're next under the screen on mine.
What's up?
What did you learn from making this film?
Learn.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't. I don't know how to answer this one. I don't know. I've done other projects before. I wanted to work with Max. We talked about it for a long time, so I just decided to join. But yeah, I learned there's a lot of great people out there. Hi, Magali.
I also need to pretty much state, Mauricio was written specifically for Ruin, who he is and how he is, that I knew he would just take it over, that kind of thing.
Okay. And then Mrs. Trevino?
It is very hard work, but it is so much fun. I have such a blast, and I love working, for Director Rojas. And as Magali points out, I never realized how hard it is. And some people really think, I used to think, no hombre, que padre, but it is hard. But it is also so much fun.
And so have you done much film work before?
Only, I believe that at that point, I had only been in Tejano. That was my first film. And I believe this would be my second one.
Okay.
And I've been fortunate enough, I've been in about 10 now. So I've just continued and continued. I love this. I love this and I have so much fun. But also, the work is so intense. And even though you don't spend that much time, you know, at the end of the day, working on a project, maybe 2, 3 days or 4 days, you make friendships that truly are long lasting. Maybe because everything is so intense, but I just love doing this.
And Jason?
I think for me, it was less about learning something and more about a confirmation of something. The whole idea of, you know, we're always going to have problems be part of the solution or be part of the problem is, it really is profound. That's the way life is. And when you're presented with something, you know, adversity, you know, I believe that adversity is something that either makes you bitter or it makes you better. That's the only two results that can happen from adversity. And it was just confirmation for me watching this film develop, is because, I mean, the film, you know, new problems would arise and new things would happen and this, that, and the other. But it was fascinating because it was just another example of when you want something bad enough, you make it happen. You just become the solution. And, you know, a lot of the people in the cast just became the solution. I mean, a lot of those guys, they'd never done anything with stunts or anything like that before. And they just, you know, I came down one day and that's all we worked on. You know, but to watch Max, I mean, it was so inspiring to like see Max had this vision and nothing was going to get in his way. You know, so when this happened or that happened or whatever, he just made it work. He figured out a way, did this, did that, whatever it was. And no matter what what problem he faced, he solved it one way or the other. And so it wasn't so much that I learned that was something that can be done, but it was confirmation that good people still do it. You know what I mean? And that's what it was for me.
Okay. And Max, several of your cast members mentioned that it took longer than they expected. So so how long did it take for you to make the film from, I guess, if you want to talk about like how long it took to write it, and how long to shoot it, and then how long it took you to edit it?
I think the fastest and the easiest thing was actually shooting it, for as crazy as that was. One thing that I tried not to do due to the things that I experienced for younger filmmakers when I do events with festivals is kind of discuss what we face, which was it was a great to film a movie at 4K raw format so you can edit it and make it beautiful, and then you don't plan on the fact that the system that you have to edit it is just not going to be able to, you know, have the horsepower for it. So I think I originally replaced the first computer, and we were trying to go through 12 terabytes of disk space that was not quite in the fine print of the difficulty because of the slower bandwidth on the USB ports and, you know, the external hard drives that you can't really, you know, buffer property. So we created a bunch of proxy. It was a crazy thing. And then again, COVID shuts us down. Overall, it took me about 2 years to finish this, which is much more than is best. But like, what is it? I mean, we had 4 guys. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have a post-production house, unfortunately, which I've always thought would be wonderful for the Rio Grande Valley to have. We have a lot of editors here that make great music videos, that don't want to film, don't want to direct, they just like editing. And that's where post-production house can come in. But yeah, no, it was about 2 years and never stopped. It was just, yeah, I mean, and it's funny too, guys, because if you guys are editing out there and your system works fine when you do one scene, wait until you put them all together and you get the hour and a half, and your system's gonna act differently at that point. So yeah, yeah, whatever faults the film has nothing to do with the cast at all. It's the post-production process that we were faced with it.
And we talked a little bit before we came on about the soundtrack for the film. And so can you talk about your soundtrack?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, originally, I always try and want to make a film with as many local artists, and I try to reach out to musicians. It was a bigger challenge, and I bit off more than I can chew, for lack of better words, trying to organize as much without different producers for different things. I mean, I think I even sent the entire cast every scene as a song, like listen to this song to understand its tone and tempo. And so I was doing that while trying to organize with things. And yeah, it was difficult to try to edit the film with the local artist song and music in there, send it to them, say, hey, this is how I would like to use your song. They'd say no. And after a couple of times, I'm like, it's taken a lot of time to do that, to re-edit the film, re-export and send this to try to get permission. So we ended up speaking to some friends on the West Coast who put us into the company. Audio.io is the company we ended up choosing. And there's a lot of independent artists who have their music registered through them to license for independent filmmakers. And it kind of helped us out, because there was some wonderful music that I wish could have been locally found and outsourced, which is something that I'm going to try to do, is create some means of having local artists here outsource their films in some way to filmmakers in the area, at least get them to communicate. But it's audio.io. And I mean, I'll be honest, I really enjoyed the intro credit song. Like, it really fit well with what we're doing. And that's the guys, it takes a long time to listen through a lot of songs to find something that will fit. Which, I mean, I know maybe some people will just throw something in there. I for the life of me wish I could, but I'm trying to listen to the song, listen to the lyrics, trying to go, does this fit? Is this timing? Is this tempo? And if it was just a little smidge off, I would start over again, and it would drive myself crazy. But yeah.
Okay. I'm skipping all over my paper here and getting lost. I'm checking to see what other questions I had in there. Where can people learn? Like, well, okay, what are you planning to do next with this film?
Well, we still have a couple of festivals that we're waiting to hear back from. We got reached out, interestingly enough, by a film festival in Romania. I was telling Magali about that. So might get out there, which would be nice. After that, then I will be looking to try to get some kind of post-production assistance, with the footage. Like, I'm pleased with what I was able to do, but I am in no means recognize myself as a great editor. And so that's the kind of thing that because we have a raw footage, because we have such great performances, I guess, in the scenes, that, having some kind of post-production assistance to redo ADR and, do some kind of effects and scenes that we need, it would, to me, it'd just make it better, just make it stronger. And that's what I'm hoping to do. And then try to find an independent distribution source to take it through. Everybody should see these guys and what they can do. They're magnificent, I'll be honest.
Yeah, they all did a great job. Everyone did. So what are you working on now?
I am trying to, I'm currently in way pre-production of a TV series that I want to do down here. That'll focus on the effects of like PTSD in areas such as this. It's going to incorporate a lot of music, and I'm thinking of The Sopranos meets This Is Us. It's about a family. I mean, I say Sopranos because it takes place 18 years after a young man's released from prison for what he faced through, and then having to meet his kids that he hasn't seen forever and find his place in society. We venture into music and a lot of, how it affects young kids, and how, without being taught proper coping mechanisms, your life can steer to a different way. But yeah, I'm gonna locally distribute that here in local channels for the Rio Grande Valley, and with a friend of ours out there in the West Coast in California. And then after that, hopefully people will like it. But it's going to be a serious drama with music. And I mean, we're Latino, so we're always going to joke around in it. You know what I mean? But it's that kind of situation. But yeah, that's what I'm actually going to be speaking hopefully to Magali about it later.
Okay. So Magali, other than this his new adventure that you just heard about, what else are you working on?
Well, I'm very excited to say that I'm actually submitting for a movie tomorrow. They actually had seen the buzz from this movie and they reached out to me, a casting company. They want me to submit for their movie. So I'm going to send in a tape tomorrow. And also I'm developing my own project, my own film project. Having had this experience with Max and seeing everything that he's done inspired me to write my own feature film. It is in the very early stages, but I can say that it is music related, and it kind of promotes women in the business in a very positive way and kind of just shows the journey that musicians and artists go through.
Excellent. That's wonderful. And Ruth, what are you heading? I just like the way he just laughs at me each time I ask him that question. Okay, so what
I'm terrified every time you put him on. I'm just telling you right now, unlike me personally.
Oh, well, good. Then I'll have to ask him more. No, I'm just kidding.
Good.
Yeah.
So what's in the works you're saying, or what am I doing? Okay. I mean, well, this was done like 4 years ago, I think, right? When we filmed this, I don't even know. It's been a while. 3 years? Dang. I've done a few features. I just wrapped one last month I was out in San Antonio in a soundstage for like about a month or so. And then I was out in Louisiana like the month before that. Just a few features coming up, and I'm actually moving to LA in a couple of months. So that's what's next for me.
Are you allowed to tell us what the features are, or is it a big secret?
Horror comedies. Apparently I'm like the comic relief or something for these things, and that's cool, I guess. Yeah. Congrats on your project, Magali. Hi, Emma. I love your voice.
Okay.
I love you more.
So Emma, you mentioned that you've gotten like 10 films since you did this one. So what are you working on now? What's coming up?
Now, in December and January, in December, I finished a short film called Strings. And in January, I finished another short film, which is called Sanctificado. And I apologize that I can't say what they're about, but I'm super excited about that. And it should be, in a couple of years, in 1 or 2 years, when these would be released. They have just started post-production. And I'm also an artisan, a Mexico-inspired artisan. So in between films, what I do are Mexico-inspired marketplaces, but in miniature. So I continue to work on that, keeping busy. I do a little bit of writing, short stories. I keep pretty busy.
That's wonderful. And Jason, what do you have coming up? You're
Sorry,
muted.
I'm not that awesome with Zoom. I did a pilot about a year ago that's just now starting to hit some festivals where it's an interesting storyline because it's called Home Group. It focuses on addiction and recovery, which is interesting to me because many films, somebody has a drug problem, well, they go to like a NA meeting and then the next scene they're completely okay, like they don't have any more problems. But this particular show focuses exclusively on everything that they deal with through going through recovery and how hard it is and what it's like and the struggles and the ups and downs and things like that. And I play a biker, and that's about as far as I can get into what it's about. But as far as other projects, I've done a lot of stuff for. I've done a lot of teaching stuff where I've done a lot of like teaching film kind of things, a lot of how-to type stuff. But I'm really wanting to get back into doing more film work, like true film work. So, hey, if anybody needs a, big white guy to come out there and do something, I'll be available. But that's, I've been working a lot more on my professional, non-acting professional career.
Okay. All right. And Max, I guess you want to let us know in the last few minutes where people can find more of your work?
Oh, yeah, I guess it's scattered throughout different Mexican movie channels, I guess. But yeah, I've seen Mexicano, Olympiset, own stuff. I don't really know each affiliate name between places. Ultramex, I think. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff on YouTube as well. It's interesting how there's a lot of lack of understanding with how the Spanish language film market works, especially coming out of Mexico, where things are kind of like federally funded and state approved as opposed to being a free market indie thing. So like it's the way the Spanish language film community has taken YouTube, adopted it as its own distribution source and making their own channels there is actually an interesting source for a documentary season.
Okay.
Should look in that.
All righty.
But yeah, no, I mean, they could find it on cable access TV or streaming. I am still trying to find more investors and help, but I wrote a streaming app called Grito TV that you can find some of our work on. It is available on Roku and Android devices. And yeah, that's my attempt to try to bring local distribution to the Rio Grande Valley for filmmakers down here. We have a couple of the producers I know that are on there. The idea is to get it, advertising revenue that gets split evenly between filmmakers in there, so we can try to make more content. So, but yeah.
And anybody else want to tell us where you can find your work?
Tejano, which was the first film that I was in, that is on HBO and Amazon Prime. And of course, Fist of Justice, that I'm very, very proud about. Also is streaming. I was also in one of the seasons of The Queen of the South on television. So that's still out there. I was the curandera. And I didn't have any lines, but I did a pretty good job of healing Teresa,
That's a waste of that beautiful voice.
Thank you so much.
The glorious voice.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'm here and there.
In Magali, you mentioned you were a Tejano artist. Where can people find your work?
Yes, you can go to magalivillarosa.com and find everything. Or you can go to all streaming websites, Spotify, Amazon Music. You can go to my YouTube channel, iTunes, and all my music is there, as well as the link to my fashion page, because I also make clothes. I didn't mention that earlier, but I also do clothes as well.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. It's been really interesting. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have enjoyed it too. Gives you a nice chance to see each other after however long it's been since you all got together last time. And thank you very much for participating in the South Texas International Film Festival. I hope that you do more work and you submit it to us again, and we could like get together in person instead of in all these little boxes, because it's that makes it a whole lot more fun. But we understand why we had to go virtual. And for those of you who are at home watching us, be sure and stay tuned with us tonight, because coming up at 8:30, in 7 minutes, we have encore presentations of the Rio Grande Valley Shorts and the 48-hour film race events. Did any of y'all do those?
I could not this year. No, I was not able to this year, unfortunately.
Okay. Log back in again and watch those at 8:30. And then if you join us tomorrow morning, we have a Fist of Justice encore tomorrow morning, on Sunday morning, and a Collapse, which is another local, that's a documentary that was made that will have an encore tomorrow morning, followed by the international features at 11 a.m. And of course, the awards ceremony will be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So thank you so much for being part of the South Texas International Film Festival. Thank you all who logged in from home, for joining us, and everybody have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you in 6 minutes on another, well, you won't see me, but I'll be watching on another channel. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.